Jets Overtime, presented by Duncan. I'm Eric Allen alongside Eric Coleman in the BetMGM studio. In just a few moments, we'll hear from Jets head coach Adam Gase, as well as quarterback Sam Darnold. Olivia Landis also caught up with Jets rookie left tackle Mekhi Becton. And first things first, though, let's bring in Anthony Beck. The Jets open up their season, Anthony, with a 27-17 loss to the Buffalo Bills in Western New York. From the get-go here, after kickoff, the Jets were on their heels.
They were. I think offensively for the Jets, Sam Darnold was a little off to start the football game. A few times, obviously, got pressed out of the pocket, and other times he kind of flushed himself out of the pocket and was just not accurate on his throws. 3 and outs to start the game, I believe, was the first 3 series, and then the next series you got 1 first down. So 4 punts in the first quarter, just no offensive flow and not really ability to run the ball and get something going from a continuity standpoint. And before you know it, you get slapped in the face with some Buffalo Bills early scores, and you find yourself in a hole. So to start the game, and we talked about this on the pregame show, Jets had to start fast, and they didn't have that today in the first half.
No, they did not. Here is Sam Darnold on the move, forced into action, intercepted by Matt Milano there in the game. The Jets already at that point were down 21-0. He did have a couple fine throws, including this strike to Le'Veon Bell down the sideline at the end of the first half. But for the New York Jets, just not enough offensive mojo today, bottom line. And on the other side of the coin, Eric Coleman, Josh Allen was a problem today, not just running the football, but he threw for more than 300 yards for the first time in his career.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great performance by Josh Allen. I thought he showed a lot of control. He was throwing the ball accurately, running the ball when he got outside of the pocket, and they had some design runs in there for him as well. So, he was clicking on all cylinders. Buffalo's offense was doing great. I thought the Jets secondary was a little bit passive, and they were trying to keep over the top of these receivers, and they weren't as aggressive as they should have been.
Well, Anthony, from a Jets perspective, what were the Bills doing offensively? We know Josh Allen put up monster numbers, but they come out in the shotgun. They were spreading them out a little bit and throwing the football. And then after that, we saw a lot of design runs. And when plays break down, Allen is a tremendous athlete, but defensively, the Jets didn't have a lot of answers. They couldn't get off the field on third down either.
Yeah, I think Brian Daboll, the offensive coordinator for the Bills, did a nice job to get his quarterback some confidence early on. Some quick hitch routes, some short passing routes, get some multiple receivers and tight ends, some catches early in the football game. Again, using his legs. I mean, early on, that was a huge factor you guys talked about, the ability for him to just kind of, utilize himself out of the pocket, on the edge, and really just, make it difficult for the Jets to kind of find themselves and be attacking. I think one thing I was looking forward to is how they would attack him, and they kept the Jets defense off balance because of the fact of the movement ability early on in the football game.
You are watching Jets Overtime, presented by Duncan, Eric Allen, and Eric Coleman inside the BetMGM studio. You just heard from former Jets tight end Anthony Beck, who is going to be here providing analysis not only today but throughout the year. But let's now go back to Western New York to hear from the Jets offensive play caller who doubles as this team's head coach, Adam Gase.
All right, just an injury update. Cashman went out with a groin. Le'Veon came out in the second half with a hamstring. That was really the two big ones we had in this game. I mean, it was about as bad of a start offensively as we could have had. Didn't do anything when the defense did a good job getting a turnover. Complementary football was non-existent, throughout most of the game. We just really did not play well. It's disappointing aspect, just watching the guys work all week and the excitement level coming into this game. And, we got a lot to work on. We got a lot of things that we got to get fixed. So that.
Adam, can you go into just detail on Sam's day? It seemed like he struggled for quite a bit.
Yeah, I got to look at I got to watch the film. I mean, there was a couple things that, especially early in the game, we just had we were just off with some of the details of what we were calling and what we were doing, where we didn't do a couple of things that will look really poorly for him. And then he missed some throws that normally, we've seen him make, and he made later in the game. I really have to go look at this. I mean, it feels, like the first half, it was just, it felt like 3 and out. We're just trying to get a first down and get something going. And, I got to go back and look at this.
Adam,
it might go more to that, but were you seeing like his fundamentals breakdowns? I know the interception looked like he threw off his back foot. He took a sack.
Yeah, that one, he's going to see that one. Anytime you're moving to the left and you throw to the middle of the field, that's not ideal. You do not want to do that.
Adam, you were hurt pretty badly by a lot of key penalties. What do you attribute that to, and how debilitating was that for you guys?
Yeah, we got to go back, and it's a penalty. Right now it's a penalty on the books. But we got to go back. We either have to look at it. If we look at it and we say, all right, hey, that's a call that had to be made, and we got to figure out what we got to fix in that area. Sometimes you get penalties called, and you might disagree with what the official threw. But I got to go back and watch this. It seemed like a lot of things that occurred in this game that were preventable for us, for sure.
Specifically.
You just heard from Jets head coach Adam Gase in Buffalo, New York, after this ball game. The Jets fall to 27. They fall to the Buffalo Bills 27-17 here, dropping to 0-1 on the season. Let's bring back Anthony back. Anthony, Adam Gase talked about we did not play complementary football in any shape or form today.
Yeah, I think what he's talking about is, clearly from a running standpoint, you weren't able to establish a run, some really unique, two-back sets with Bell and Gore to start the football game, even in a situation where you had Bell as the lead back once or twice early on. And then, of course, in the passing game, he did talk about Sam just kind of not being on target, but you also had, a drop by Crowder early in the game as well. That would have been a nice conversion. He had an excellent game as the game went on, but again, starting fast and trying to get things going. And defensively, look, you get a turnover to start the football game. Your offense gets a chance to get the ball back. You can't convert. Defense comes back on, and you find yourself in a situation. Before it was 14-0. May comes off the edge. As good as he played, he misses a sack that, if he just kind of breaks down and gets them, things can change there. So you're talking about little things that happen throughout the football game in that first half that if it just goes the Jets' way, it can tilt momentum going back to your favor. But again, the Bills were able to sustain and make bigger plays in those moments early on.
Eric, the score could have been worse. The Jets had a couple takeaways there in the first half. It could have been 27-0. It could have been 30-0. But they showed some fight there, getting a field goal at the end of the first half, and then they looked like they had an opportunity to get back in the game when Jamison Crowder scored on this 69-yard catch and run. It was 21-10 in the third quarter.
Yeah, it was great to see the Jets fight back. You saw at the end of the first half, they started to put some things together. There's a sense of urgency. And there you see Jamison Crowder on the 3rd down and 7, take a little screen pass, take it the distance. That was great to see. You started to see the life and the energy from the Jets. But, unfortunately, they weren't able to sustain that momentum. The defense let down. They couldn't get off the field on 3rd down. And I think that's kind of where the Jets fell flat.
Yeah, the Jets, 4 of 11 on 3rd down. Conversely, the Buffalo Bills, 7 of 14 on 3rd down. But one player who got his feet wet professionally for the first time today was rookie tackle Mekhi Becton, who was often matched up with Jerry Hughes. For more on Becton, let's go now to our own Olivia Landis.
Jets team reporter Olivia Landis here with rookie offensive lineman Mekhi Becton. Mekhi, it was obviously not the outcome that the team wanted today in Buffalo. You being a rookie and your first professional game out there on that line, what were some of the challenges that you noticed in today's game?
They definitely said a lot of different things that I haven't seen. Well, I seen it, but it was different. It was a whole lot faster, I would say. It was a whole lot faster than practice, way faster than practice. And it was just that's the only difference I can say. Just the speed of practice from practice to the game.
Speed is a huge thing when it comes to NFL games. How are you going to work on that so you can make adjustments moving forward?
I just gotta keep going hard in practice so I can match the speed in the game, so I won't have to worry about that next week, next outcome. So I feel like that's what I got to work on the most is my speed in practice, going faster.
Mekhi, a lot of people talked about the chemistry along this offensive line leading up until today's game. The offensive line allowed 3 sacks in today's matchup. How can that offensive line improve that chemistry moving forward?
We just gotta know what each other got. You know, we gotta know our assignment. Got to know each other's assignment. We gotta know what the other person's thinking in that play. So that's what we gotta work on when we get to practice, and that's what we're gonna work on.
Offensively, what are some of the positive takeaways that this team can build off of for next week?
We can play fast. That's what we can build off. We can build off our tempo offense that we did today, and we know that we can play fast, and that's what I feel like we can build off today.
Mekhi, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
With our own Olivia Landis before he heads to the bus there in Buffalo and a short plane ride home. That's one of the few positives out of today. But honestly, Anthony, we'll have to study the film here tonight and tomorrow. I thought Mekhi Becton held up pretty well in his first professional game.
I agree. I thought he did as well. There was a sack that was given up on his guy, but to me it was more of a coverage sack. He set back. There was no issue with it and really just ran the hump, and Sam kind of ran into that sack. So, good job on coverage by the Bills there. But, as far as coming off the football, and the things that he said, the one word that he said is not really for me that I wasn't expecting would happen was the speed. And when he's talking about it, he's not talking about he has to move faster, he has to go faster. It's really his eyes, right? It's twists, it's linebackers scraping over the back and the top, different movements in games. It is happening a lot faster in the NFL. Linebackers are really trying to get right on that and hug it real quick when guys over Becton that he's blocking want to go inside or outside. So those things, being able to kind of get a better feel of those things quicker is what he's talking about when he says speed of the game. So that's normal, that's natural, but there's nothing that he did, in my opinion, that I thought like, wow, he wasn't ready or the moment was too big. I thought he handled it well, and he's only going to get better from it.
Yeah, and to the point of you want to establish balance offensively. It is difficult to do that when you get down 3 scores early in a football game. And it was tough, too. Late there in the second half, we see Le'Veon Bell go out, and we started to see him produce as a receiver, Eric. So a tough break for the Jets there.
Yeah, it was a tough break. To see Le'Veon, go out there and catch a deep ball, get some momentum going. Then you saw him on the wheel route where he was held and kind of came up lame with that hamstring. You were starting to see the potential that they had, that chemistry with Le'Veon Bell and Sam Darnold in the passing game that we've all been hearing about in the preseason. So, listen, going back to Mekhi, what he said about the speed of the game. Anthony, you and I kind of take it for granted, playing so many years in the league. But if you think back to your rookie year, those preseason games did kind of help you and slow the game down a little bit, get used to the routine. These rookies don't have that luxury. Do you think that affected Mekhi in his eyes and his anticipation today?
No question. I think you hit the nail on the head there. And another thing I can remember, for me as a tight end, not just, figuring out, the movements of the defensive linemen and linebackers, but I remember it took at least 8 games for me when I started running my routes. I just saw linebackers, DBs, safeties running all over the place. I had no feel for the field at all. It's just like I was just kind of running in space, turned around, the ball was on me. And it was just a surprising situation. And that level, that jump, that speed is really dramatic at all positions, receivers, quarterback in particular. And again, it can work down inside, interior with the line as well, like Becton was saying.
I thought the Jets had a monstrous opportunity in the second half with Le'Veon Bell because the Bills were extremely decimated inside linebacker, Tremaine Edmonds and Matt Milano. Both those guys are studs. They were out of the lineup, and Bell was abusing A.J. Klein in coverage. That was a matchup the Jets could have gone to had Le'Veon Bell been okay. Unfortunately, that didn't happen, but as far as on the positive side of the ledger, we talked about Jamison Crowder, fellas, in the pregame show. And here on Jets Overtime, let's break down his 69-yard scoring reception.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 3rd down and 7. They ran a 3-by-1 with Perriman and Herndon out there in the flat. They went straight to block. This is a designed pass. It's a quick. It's pretty much a run game.
Okay.
You know, they have Crowder out to 3. He runs a quick out with the blockers ahead of him. He breaks one tackle from the linebacker, outruns the defensive lineman, which you'll take any day of the week, and takes it to the house. That's a great play, great execution, check down by Sam Darnold, and a great job by Crowder in finishing it.
Yeah, and that is a great play, and that's something you can build off in terms of Sam Darnold. We saw him struggle a lot of times today, but he got the Jets in the proper play right there. Jamison Crowder gets underneath Herndon on a little 2-yard out, and then he takes it up. You got to break tackles, and you know, that's something you're going to look at down the future. I mean, down the line here as the Jets prepare for the San Francisco 49ers next week and say, hey, let's have more of those big-time explosion plays. But let's talk about somebody who can get down the field in a hurry. That is Breshad Perriman, and our own Ethan Greenberg caught up with him after the game.
Ethan Greenberg now joined by wide receiver Breshad Perriman. Breshad, from your vantage point, what went wrong for the offense today?
I just feel like we weren't clicking on all cylinders, man. I feel like, you know, we just got to focus on everybody doing their job, everybody knowing what to do, and, you know, just go out there, you know, this week and work on, you know, just that.
Where do you guys go from here, though? I know that no preseason probably messed with the chemistry. You being out for a couple of weeks with the knee injury probably was a result of that too. But what's the next step into correcting mistakes today?
Simple. Put your head down and grind. You know, this is part of the game. You know, of course, you don't like losing ever, but you know, it's part of the game. It's part of the process. Now we just gotta go out this week, focus up, be more intentional and focus, and fix all the mistakes that we made this week. You know, keep going.
Was it weird as an offense being on the road and not hearing the actual fans, just hearing crowd noise? And what was that like for you?
I mean, yeah, I feel like me personally, I feel like it was weird. I don't know what everybody else thought. I mean, of course, you know, you've been playing this game with fans this whole time, you know, and you don't have fans, you know, this game one. But, you know, at the end of the day, if it's still football, you know, fans or no fans, you got to go out there and do your job and do it to the best of your God-given ability.
Awesome, Breshad. Appreciate the time.
Appreciate it.
You are watching Jets Overtime presented by Dunkin'. Get running for less at Dunkin' with a $1 medium hot coffee with the sandwich purchase. America runs on Dunkin'. Participation may vary. Exclusions apply. Limited time offer. Eric Allen, Eric Coleman inside the BetMGM studio. You're watching Jets Overtime. We got Anthony Becht here as well. Let's go back to Anthony right now. Anthony, kind of a quiet day on the outside for the aforementioned Breshad Perriman and Chris Hogan.
Yeah, it was. You know, I think for me, you know, trying to get Perriman involved early in the football game, you know, could have been more of a priority. I think, you know, in some of those passing situations, he may have been the target. He may have not gotten open. And like Adam Gase was saying, I have to watch the film as well because you only get so many angles with the cameras on TV. But, you know, if you just flip it on the other side, how the Bills kind of got Josh Allen going. There were simple passes, some off coverages. They allowed him to go to those receivers, a quick hitch, a slant, a receiver screen. You know, Chris Herndon did not really get developed early on in this football game. And later on in the game, when he got his opportunity, he gets a close call strip, which ends up causing a fumble. So, you know, again, it's just, you know, scenarios in the game when you're starting and how you want to go about things when you're talking about your defensive plan and your offensive plan and, you know, your first 10 snaps or how you see the game starting off just wasn't the way the Jets went. And I think it's just vitally important for the Jets, you know, to start games fast. You know, this is a young team. offensively, an offensive line to me that you want to try to get these guys off the line of scrimmage, try to sustain some type of a running game early, trying to establish those things. When you have a rugged offensive line, tougher guys up front, the MO is you come off the ball, let them roll up on their knuckles a little bit, and you try to pound the ground a little bit. If we had gone 3 and out like we did in the passing game, I would have rather said, hey, let's just try to get that run game going. But again, give credit to the Buffalo Bills. I mean, it's not like they know what's coming at them. They were able to defend it. They got Sam off his pocket presence a little bit and moved him around, and he wasn't able to connect on a lot of those passes, and quite frankly, wasn't able to establish really any receivers in the football game early on.
Jamison Crowder, 7 receptions today, 115 yards, had the 69-yard scoring reception. Chris Herndon, 6 catches, 37 yards. You mentioned an unfortunate break there, the lost a fumble. And then you have to go down. You had a pair of guys with a couple catches. Le'Veon Bell had 2 catches. Eric, how does this Jets offense get off to a faster start next week against San Francisco? That's the home opener. And like Anthony just said, they can't come out of the gates like that again.
Well, I think you take a page out of Buffalo's playbook, throw some short passes, get Sam Darnold's confidence going. You have to run the football, and also going down 21-0 doesn't help you at all offensively. When you're down 21-0, you can't establish the run game. You're very predictable in what you do offensively, and the defense has to be vanilla. They don't have to honor that run game because they know that you have to pass the ball to get back into the game. So, establishing that run game, I think the defense helping out, getting some 3 and outs, some short fields will definitely help this offense moving forward.
Anthony, I wanted to ask you about the penalties. Were you expecting? You never want to expect. The expectation is never to have 100 yards penalties, which the Jets had close to today. 9 penalties, I think 95 yards. But how much does that add to the problem to begin with, because you're having trouble stopping the Buffalo Bills offense and what was a hot Josh Allen. You're not getting rhythm offensively, and then you have to tackle penalties on top of it all.
Yeah, anytime you get defensive secondary penalties, PIs, holdings in the secondary, that usually happens on 3rd downs. You see the conversions that can cause, and that really changes the complexion of the game. Personal fouls obviously are things you can have. You have to control those as a player. When I played in 12 seasons of the NFL, I had no personal fouls throughout my career. Does that make me not a tough player, an aggressive player? Absolutely not. That was the MO of my game, but you got to have an understanding of those situations. And look, I can't speak for pass rushers. Think guys are flying, arms are going up, you're trying to block a guy, you're trying to get the quarterback right when the ball's getting thrown and time it up. But when you hit the guy in the helmet and you get those kind of fouls, you got to be smarter with those situations. So listen, those are huge yards that get tacked on. You can't give freebies to anybody in the NFL, and Buffalo took advantage of those situations.
Yeah, in fact, their first touchdown came after a 3rd down incomplete pass where Josh Allen was looking for Josh Brown in the end zone, and I think he was held by Pierre Desir. Next play, 7-0 on a keeper from Josh Allen. But let's hear from the Jets quarterback. Sam Darnold, 21 of 35 today. He had the 1 touchdown and the 1 interception. He threw for 215 yards. He just talked to the media in Orchard Park.
What were you seeing out there, especially in the first half?
Yeah. I think, well, first off, we didn't execute the way that we wanted to, especially in the first half. And I put that on my shoulders. I missed way too many throws today. We had opportunities, and I just missed guys. And, we got to look at the tape and see what happened, but I just flat out missed guys, and that's on me. And so I got to be better, and we got to execute better. It's as simple as that. Now we do have to go into the meetings tomorrow and, understand kind of, how we need to fix those things and make sure that, because they're fixable, it's the first game of the season. And so we just got to go in with our heads up and be ready to learn from our mistakes and leave it at that.
Sam, can you take us through both the interception that you threw and then also the sack that you took when you were running towards the sideline and didn't throw it out of bounds?
Yeah. So the interception was just a bad play. Just tried to fit a ball in there that I shouldn't have. And then the sack that I took was another, kind of what I said before. It's just, it's a bad play. It's unexcusable. There's no excuses for it. It's just, I got to be better. I was kind of waiting, and I obviously waited too long for someone to get open, and it was just a bad decision.
Sam, you guys were hurt by penalties quite a bit today. Can you speak to that, and particularly the penalty you guys took for the delay? What happened there, right out of the TV timeout?
Yeah, I mean, anytime we try to limit penalties as much as we can, and obviously there are too many today. And then the delay of game, I put that on my shoulders. We didn't break the huddle fast enough, and we weren't ready, and that's on me.
Sam, was there anything that Buffalo did today that was confusing schematically or you hadn't seen during practice at all?
I mean, they always try to bring different looks, and but Buffalo, their defense is going to do what they do. We were ready for it. We just didn't execute.
And we know that obviously this summer you've had a lot of receivers that were out. You didn't have your full cast there. How much of this was kind of timing that maybe should have been a little bit expected?
No, I don't think that's an excuse that we'll make. I think for us, we were practicing well all week, and again, we just came out here on game day and didn't execute the way that we did in practice. And I think for us, it's about taking what we do in practice and making sure that that translates to the game.
Sam, can you, as a captain, speak?
Jets Overtime presented by Duncan. Eric Allen here with Eric Coleman and Anthony Becht, of course. AB, I'll tell you what, he didn't play well or to his standards today, but that is an accountable player, and that's going to carry over well in the locker room as far as Sam Darnold, the way he owns up after a ball game.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. I mean, there's something about professionalism. He's the first guy to deflect anything that happens that's good that he does to his teammates. And then, of course, when things are bad, he puts it all on his shoulders. And the one thing I think we know about Sam is he bounces back pretty darn good. And that's a good sign for the quarterback. I will say this, and Sam is on the same page, and he just said it. He expects to play better. He expected to start this game better, and he puts it on his shoulders. And look, he's right. Sam's in his third season now. He wants to take that next step. He's not going to use excuses for not having the offseason, not enough time. He's in the system that he knows from last season, and he demands a higher level of play. And I think that's something that when he goes back to the film like he talked about, he's going to quickly, get those things going. I mean, look, no preseason games is a factor for these players. You don't have the timing. You cannot replicate anything in practice that looks like a game situation because you're not tackling, you're not doing any of those things. All that stuff is really foreign until you actually get to a football game, and they didn't have that luxury. Across the league, you saw a lot of poor defensive play, tackling, drop balls, just guys haven't had the thumping that they want, especially receivers. You catch a ball, you get kind of thumped up, you're not getting tackled. So little things that you got to get better. And look, we'll see how this thing works from game 1 to game 2. I expect to have a jump. I want to see things take a dramatic step because, this Jets team's got a lot of, fuel behind what they can potentially be on offense. And I want to see a team that takes advantage of that and plays a lot better next week.
All right, before we go back to Western New York, I want Eric and Anthony just to think about this for the other side. Marcus May was by far the best Jets player today, and I thought this is going to be overshadowed in a loss. He was tremendous. So think about that for a second. Let's go back to Western New York because Olivia Landis caught up with Jets cornerback Bless Austin.
Team reporter Olivia Landis here with cornerback Bless Austin. Bless, it was a challenging day for the defense, allowed over 400 yards of offense with the Bills. What would you say went into some of the difficulties of establishing a rhythm on the defensive side of the ball?
I wouldn't hone in on difficulties. We just got to pay attention to detail on our side of things. We just got to make sure we stay intact and we following the game plan. We can't get out of whack and let certain plays get us out of certain things. So we just got to pay attention to detail. I wouldn't say there's any difficulty.
Bless, you mentioned details. What were some of the details that maybe went missing on the defensive side of the ball?
Just being where you're supposed to be when you got to be there. I mean, I don't want to get too specific, but certain guys are supposed to be in certain spots at certain times when plays is cold. So when guys is not there at those times, we give our offense opportunities to make things happen. So we just got to be more consistent in that aspect.
Bless, what do you think this defense specifically did well today that you guys can build off of for next week?
We came out in the second half way stronger than we did in the first. So we got to find a way to build on top of that and carry that momentum into the next game. But we got to get back on the practice field, hone in on the detail again, and make sure that we come out here more consistent.
Definitely right on the second half momentum. Like you said, Bills scored 21 points in the first half, just 6 points in the second half. What was it about that second half where you guys were able to put a stop on that offense?
Things was able to slow down a little bit. So, we was able to take a brief intermission, at halftime and just go over certain things and make sure that we didn't come out making the same mistakes.
Bless, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Ethan Greenberg now joined by Jet safety Marcus May. Marcus, from your vantage point, what went wrong for the defense today?
We hurt ourselves in the first half. We dug ourselves in the hole
Bless, it was
with
a
the
challenging
penalties
day for the
and not containing the quarterback, letting him extend plays. A lot of bang penalties when the ball's in the air with the pass interference, jumping off sides. We can't come out the game and start like that. We got to be disciplined, and that's what all phases.
In the same breath, though, the defense, one of two forced fumbles for that unit as a whole. The defense forced 2 fumbles. How, for somebody like Greg Williams that predicates himself and his units on trying to create turnovers, how encouraging was that, though?
No, it was big. I mean, we preach that every day. Every time we step on the field, create turnovers, effort, get to the ball. I mean, that's just what we do. That's what we're going to do. We're going to continue to do it. So, that's the positive thing that we did. We just got to look at the film and get back to the drawing boards.
For you in training camp, you said that you might have a little more role on this defense with Jamal now in Seattle. You had 2 sacks today. You had a half sack in your career beforehand. Can you talk about how your role changed a little bit, particularly to this game, and how nice it was to be down by the box?
Just a lot more action going on. Just a different lineup at different spots. I mean, you can put me anywhere. I'm going to try to do the best that I can, try to be productive. And that's just what I try to do every time I come on the field. And that's some of the things that happened today. We just got to find a way to bring everything together and come out with a win.
Last question here. Where do you guys go from here, fine-tuning the defense for week 2?
Just continue to work. Nothing new that we have to do. Nothing out of the ordinary that we have to change and anything like that. Just be more disciplined in all 3 sides of the ball. And, just continue to work hard, continue to practice, and stick together as a team. It's week 1, it's a long season ahead of us. So, I mean, we got a lot of ball to play.
Awesome. Thanks, Marcus.
Yeah, appreciate you.
Thanks, fellas. Marcus May today, 10 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 PDs, a forced fumble. So let's go to the safety here in Eric Coleman. What did you like best about his game?
Well, I mean, I love the versatility. I thought Marcus did a great job of being disruptive. You saw in the scramble, he's punching balls out. He applied pressure to the quarterback. He was all over the place, playing reckless football, and that's what I love to see out of the strong safety. Getting his hands on balls. I thought it was a great performance and a great debut for his strong safety position. Kind of showed you what potential he has as a player playing that strong safety role, and it has to give Jets fans, a lot of confidence moving forward about what Marcus May in this secondary can do.
Anthony, what did you think about Mayday today? Because we've always talked about his skill set, that he's a rangy safety, that he gets everybody lined up. But maybe some people would have said or questioned, hey, I don't know what he will do in the box, how effective he will be. I think he made a point today.
Well, first I just want to say the access to the players on this Jets overtime show is phenomenal. It's great to hear from these guys. But you know what? This is not a surprise to me. I covered Marcus. I saw Marcus live at Florida. He was what Jamal was doing for us in college. You know, he's really been overshadowed because of what his role was being asked to be the last couple seasons here in a Jets uniform. He is a guy that can play everywhere. He said it himself. I can play anywhere on the field, and he showed up today. You know, it's funny, guys. All those stats you just rolled up, you know, he missed a sack that early in the football game, I believe on the third series, that if he just breaks down, he has it. That's his third sack of the game. And then later on in the second half, you know, an interception goes through his hands, but they're able to get a fumble a few plays later. Think about his ability to be around the football and the plays of action throughout this game. I mean, you're talking about, you know, a substantial amount of times where he is just around what's going on, and he's making a key contribution in all of those situations. If the Jets would have won this game, guys, he's the AFC Defensive Player of the Week easily. So, look, sky's the limit for him, man. I mean, look, he left some plays on the field. Like I said, he could do even better, but that's the kind of play that we can expect. That's going to be huge for this defense for the Jets.
It is going to be huge for the Jets moving forward because they got to get back here. They're going to be walking the halls here at One Jets Drive any moment because that's a short plane ride back from Buffalo, and they got to jump into this film, make their mistakes. Correct their mistakes, and then of course get ready next week. The home opener, San Francisco 49ers. Your final takeaway today, Anthony?
You know, lots of improvement. I think that, you know, the best of the Jets we did not see today. And it's all about the start in the football game. And whatever that may be from the quarterback position in Sam, you know, Adam Gase, you know, understanding what his players can do now. He's got some new toys. Hopefully Mims and a few guys can bounce back for next week. But, you know, everybody's got to find a way to get in their groove faster. And if they can do that, the Jets are going to be in great shape. Really doesn't matter who they play. 49ers, everybody thinks, oh, you know, big, tough, strong defense. Yeah, well, you know what? They can be beat just as easily as anybody else. So look for a big bounce back from this football team. I expected. I saw that last year out of them, especially in the back end of the season. And I expect these guys, especially Sam, always got a big chip on his shoulder, always want to prove he's better, and he always bounces back strong. He'll have a big game.
E, how about your final takeaway?
Well, I mean, my biggest takeaway, I look at the defense, and I think of something that Herm Edwards used to tell us, know and do your job. If everyone is in the right position, doing their job, not trying to do too much, then I think they'll be successful defensively. You heard Bless Austin say, guys have to be where they're supposed to be when counted on. You have to be dependable. And I think if guys know and do their job, correct those mistakes, the Jets will be fine. They'll take care of their own business.
Fellas, a great job today. Jets overtime presented by Duncan, off to a wonderful start. Unfortunately, the green and white fall to the Buffalo Bills by a 27-17 score, but it's on to next week. You only have 16 regular season games in the National Football League. Correct those mistakes and get after it here. The 49ers are playing the Arizona Cardinals right now, so we'll have to see what happens with that game. For everybody here at Jets 360, including Ethan Greenberg, Olivia Landis, and our crew in Buffalo, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next week.